Yeah, on the day we had the exhibition, we had wonderful chats with people about where the wells were. And even people who knew the area were saying, which well is that? I haven't seen it before. And even trying to describe where it is. And I'm sure that's all by it's all by design to keep them nice and hidden away and safe.
Any thoughts or comments from here? Yes.
Yeah. I just want to say, I thought Fiona's imagery and words at one stage in Some Woman, I really felt there was an honouring of the work and an honouring of these women who are very unseen in our culture. There was the expression came, some woman for one woman. That's something of that expression that is also in our cabinet. Some woman for one woman.
So just translate in case the sound would have got lost between here. So is that from the vernacular then? Some woman from one woman.
Some woman for one woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was, that was a little play on especially at the end when it's repeated, some woman at the end, that it implies that to be putting up with all that, to be carrying out all these tasks. Oh my God. Did I just lose you?
Oh, she popped out. So just quickly, while we're waiting for Fiona to come back, there was just a few lovely comments there. Fantastic bi-pastoral. I think we're going back to the bathtubs there. Jackie wondered who washed the priest's clothes while they were preaching on the correct uses of the holy waters. Very good point. And do please, anyone that is online that doesn't want to be seen or heard, then that's what the chat line is for, and we'll get to all those chats. Coming back maybe to Alejandro, thank you again. And I suppose it's not a question, it's just the fact that you obviously have a book dedicated to your daughter. We had various presentations yesterday, in a way covering the same ground. Our imaginations in Creevagh were first sparked by the presence or questionable presence of the Arctic char. And as artists, we latched onto this through the imaginary, questioning, of course, the role of the thermocline and whether Arctic char could exist in a 30-meter deep lake. And actually, maybe I'll get Maria to explain where we went with the thermocline this morning, because it was quite significant. But I suppose coming back to custodial rights or passing on or kind of creating those futures, I was aware of just the heaviness maybe of the world that scientists live in. And as artists, we can use our imaginaries, we can tread lightly, we can mix registers. We're very good at kind of stealing ideas and placing things through and kind of doing a little bit of a dance with that. But we don't often get as suffocated maybe with the facts, or we don't carry that maybe in the same way. So I just wondered if you could expand a little bit more on that in the context, I suppose, of your daughter and the land you're handing over.
No, I think the word imagination is absolutely key. And there's a lot of cliches about parenthood, and some of them are actually true in the sense that once you become a parent for the first time, you have to use your imagination to see the possible futures. There's not just one possible future. I mean, then there's the one that if you just stick to the immediate facts, the one that might seem more likely, but that also creates a sort of self-fulfilled prophecy. And if you step out of the strictly factual and allow yourself to be more imaginative and certainly more emotional, which is certainly the job of us parents, to be emotional about things that really matter. And that's why what I did with the first book is like, yes, science and facts absolutely matter, but if we leave it to that, we're not necessarily going to make the right choices. We really have to feel what matters in our guts in a really visceral way. And to act on that, it takes imagination. And that's what I think the role of artists, storytellers, it's absolutely essential in going forward into better Anthropocene. I mean, science is just what provides some of the key information, but it's not what is going to make us change to take the real action that's necessary. I think it's storytelling, imagination, art, parents acting on behalf of their, you know, of the future of their children, and you know, and it goes much bigger than that. But and that, you know, and this is why what you're doing is fantastic. It's putting all this together.
Thank you so much. And we have a very intergenerational audience here today, which I think is really significant as well. Did you want to talk about what we did this morning?
Okay. Yeah, and maybe I'll actually just jump into the effect of what we did this morning, which is very interesting. Very quickly to summarize, we have been working since the 18th of August, gathering people's wishes and putting them on a yellow line, which was our imaginary thermocline. And we had washed it in the river on the 19th of August at the Spa Wells. And then today we took it down after holding it in the space in the auditorium of the Listonvarna, the other venue we were in for the last 2 days. And it was very charged, and we brought it down and we cleaned it. We put it back into the water and we let the charcoal dissolve into the water. So that's a very brief summary of what we did, but actually the consequences of that was the conversation that we had. And this gentleman approached and he said, what are you doing? And if you were looking, going, okay, Marie, I'll talk. So we had this conversation and he started telling us all about how dirty the lake water and the seawater had become and how concerned he was about his children now swimming. His father came from the area. And he just said something, oh, you're not all local, are you? At the end of it. And I said, but sure, we are all local. Isn't that why we're having this conversation? So I guess that's just maybe the summary of what this translocal really means, is that we can have these conversations here in Lahinch on the beach, and we use the imagination, like Patricia was saying, we push the image as artists. And maybe the strength of what I think, Patricia, and why we really need the artists with us in this is that maybe we can cut something, you know, with all the tradition. Maybe there are points when we actually have to be brave enough to say, this is no longer the tradition that will sustain us, you know, and to encourage people to have that courage.
Would anyone else like to respond who are joining us online? And there are some comments coming through there. So Selma says, thank you so much. So interesting and inspiring. She has to get off, but that's fine. And I think we'll probably kind of make a little break at this point. It's just a refresher break for us sitting here, but also a little screen break. Alejandro, a million thanks again for getting up so early. And we'd be delighted if you stay with us, but you might need to go and get a coffee. But I think what we'll do is we'll just take a kind of 10-minute refresher break here for people. I'll go ahead and mute and kind of switch the screen off, and then I'll look forward to welcoming you all back in about just under 10 minutes.